Right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, between now and the 27th of this month, when the 24 by-elections will be held across the nation, we will keep detailing to you the occurrences and new developments that will be occurring from the 24 stations that are yet to hold these by-elections. We are doing this because as the days agonizingly keep decreasing towards the D-Day when these 24 by-elections will be held, new strategies, new skills, new tactics and theatrics are being employed by either camps who are fronting candidates in these particular by-elections, and we hope to see even more of them towards the D-Day being the 27th of this month. Now, we have dedicated this particular section of the Civic Lens time to detail to you each day something that is happening in either of these by-elections. With certain days we will be doing 2 by-elections at a time, and with certain days we will be focusing on 1 by-election. So in our major story today, we want to take a two-dimensional look at the Mbeere North by-election, which is a very key determinant on the 2027 major elections. And our two-dimensional looks today looks at the key players themselves, being the aspirants, being the key power brokers in this particular by-election, and being the two principals whose interests are largely vested in this particular by-election in light of the 2027 major elections. But in our other angle, we are taking a look at the interesting constitutional dimension, which does not recognize a member of county assembly as a public servant, therefore giving a member of county assembly an opportunity to serve both as a member of county assembly, be nominated to vie as a member of parliament, becomes a member of parliament, and it's only upon that time that he or she vacates his seat as a member of county assembly. I'm your host Ogola, and this is the Civic Lens. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have detailed Mbeere North here substantively. Reason being, this particular by-election is looked at one that is being held in the backyard of the current Deputy President, Honorable Kindiki Kithure, whose win will mean something to the UDA government or a UDA party, as a party that still has a grip of the people, mostly in the backyard where its members of government are coming from. But another look at it is that this particular by-election is being fronted in the Mount Kenya region, where Rigathi Gachagua, the former deputy president who was serving in that position before Kindiki Kithure rose into that particular position, has been known to guard. This particular mountain guard looks at this particular by-election as an opportunity for him to show that the Mount Kenya region has now fully deserted the UDA, which is the ruling party in the government. But other than this, there are other silent voices. Between the major national interest, also there's still the interest of Moses Kuria's party, which is Chama cha Kazi, which is also fronting a candidate in this by-election whose success would show that the mountain might not really be rallying behind one individual, Rigathi Gachagua, but there could be silent patrons within the mountain who also are calling shots. From the national spectrum, you come to the middle ground, and in the middle ground there are various interests. There's the interest of JB Muturi, who is the party leader of the Democratic Party. Honorable JB Muturi has been a guard of this particular region for quite some time, and we will detail for you shortly. But most interestingly, his party was the party that fronted and had a member of parliament in this constituency before the by-election was declared. As a leader of a political party, his influence in this region will be determined by the success of this particular by-election. Far from that, there is also a friend to Honorable Justin B. Muturi called Lenny Kivuti, who is eyeing the Embu seat, and so as a governor, and so ahead of 2027, the success of their candidate that they are jointly fronting with JB Muturi will mean something to his success or otherwise in 2027. But beyond that, there is yet a gentleman who is contesting these two gentlemen to become a kingpin of Mbeere North. Honorable Geoffrey Ruku, who has also been a key player in this particular area, looks at this opportunity as one to disentangle the two men who have known for quite some time to be controlling this region and establish himself as the new kingpin in the Mbeere North region. So while this competition is happening on the national seat and in the regional area, it is reduced down to just 3 gentlemen on the ground whose sweat and whose struggle will determine the interest of the other 5. On the ground, these 3 gentlemen Honorable Leonard Muriuki is standing in for the interest of Kindiki, Ruku and the UDA party alike to show that this region can still rally behind the president, and is doing this vigorously ahead of the 27th of this month, hoping to secure a win for himself for the interest of the intermediaries of power, but most interestingly for his boss, whose win or this win will mean something for in 2027. Then also in the middle play there is Newton Karish, who is representing the interest of both Lenny Kivuti and Justin B. Muturi. Lenny Kivuti and Justin B. Muturi's candidate, Mr. Newton Karish, who is celebrated to be having good oratory skills, and who has served as a member of county assembly for Ntawa ward for 3 times now, was a member of county assembly under the party ticket of Honorable Lenny Kivuti, but is now going for this particular position under the party ticket of Justin B. Muturi. This will be the basis of what we will discuss later on the constitutional position of a member of county assembly vying for a by-election position as a member of parliament. Mr. Newton Karish's success will mean something to Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, who will still show that the mountain is under his grip. The third gentleman, whose interest or whose sweat also will determine something in the national scene, is Duncan Mbuyi. Duncan Mbuyi was previously rejected by the DCP party after the DCP party jointly fronted a candidate with Justin B. Muturi, being the Democratic Party, in spirit of the united opposition. Now, the biblical story of the rejected stone becoming the cornerstone, the current MCA of Evurore Ward is now championing for the position of the member of parliament of this constituency under the Chama cha Kazi party, which is also a mountain party belonging to Moses Kuria, a patron creating his niche in the mountain region. So our analysis begin with these 3 individuals from the beginning, then the individuals in the middle, and then the individuals at the bigger hierarchy before we delve at the constitutional dimensions of both Duncan Mbuyi and Newton Karish. Let's start. You see, Leonard Muriuki, the gentleman, comes from Wamudende ward, and Wamudende ward is also part of the Mbeere North constituency. Now, this ward is not as populous as Evurore ward, and is also not rallying behind its candidate like Ntawa ward, because Mr. Leonard Muriuki is not a member of county assembly like the other 2 compatriots that is going against in this race. He's going under the UDA party, and he has been accused to actually infiltrated over 300 million Kenyan shillings to win this particular race. That money not being his, but the party's money through the agents of the party, being the deputy president, whose name has been mentioned in this, and also the CS for public service, Honorable Geoffrey Ruku, whose interests are vested in this particular area. So the ground is saying that Mr. Leonard Muriuki might be having all these accolades and support, yet he lacks one key thing: oratory skills. And you see, in leadership, oratory skills is not majorly a key thing. If you rise into position of leadership through business, hierarchies and such like things, but in the political spectrum, the need to connect with your electorate is something that is very superb. And so when you lack that particular opportunity to connect with your electorate through speech, then most times it becomes very difficult to convince the very electorate to vote you. So as a result, Mr. Leonard Muriuki's flat speech is becoming a shoot in the foot for himself, with the people of Mbeere North now saying that the UDA party has subsumed him in something that looks like a sheep to fill in for this particular shortcoming or gap in his personality. Now we hope to see how this plays ahead for him, or plays for him ahead of the D-Day, now that people want to listen to him selling the policies to the people directly, but the very people are saying that when he speaks, there is a flat speech and a disconnect between him and the electorate. So people say he hardly inspires voters, and he makes very, very flat speeches. And so others have thought that perhaps he's even an accidental candidate compared to Jagagua, who's also been holding that particular position before Ruku took that position, who would have been a better fit for the UDA candidate if an agreement between Jagagua and Ruku was hit. We'll come back to Leonard Muriuki in a bit. Let's go a little bit to Ntawa ward. In Ntawa ward, ladies and gentlemen, the person that is the MCA of that ward right now is Honorable Newton Karish. Apparently, Honorable Newton Karish, who was holding the position in Ntawa ward as a member of county assembly for the 3rd time under the Lenny Kivuti's party, has now defected the Len Kivuti's party, and they have jointly fronted Mr. Newton Karish under the Justin Muturi's Democratic Party to become the member of parliament that they are supporting from Mbeere North. Now, there is something very interesting. If you listen to what I've said, then perhaps you'd say there will be a vacancy in the position of the MCA in Tawa Ward when Mr. Newton Karish becomes the member of parliament, if he does becomes the member of parliament from Mbeere North, and that will be something that we will detail for you shortly. But let's come back to Mtawa Ward. Mtawa Ward says that Mr. Newton Karish oratory skills are commendable. Mr. Newton Karish now seems to be the people's darling, being supported by both Lenny Kivuti and Justin Muturi, who have had a grip in this particular region. So his stars seem to be aligning ahead of the major elections. But does he have the numbers? The numbers lie somewhere in Evurore Ward. The biggest and populous ward in Mbeere North is the Evurore Ward. And in this ward, the current member of county assembly, the MCA, is Mr. Duncan Mbui, who is now also leaving his seat as a member of county assembly to front his interest as a member of parliament from Mbeere North constituency. Mbeere North is very interesting and the politics is very thick. It's being fought both in the ward level, the clan level and the constituency level. But beyond that, it's being fought in the ministries and it's being discussed all the way in State House. It's a very invested in kind of by election actually coming on 27th in this region. So this particular area in Evurore has Mr. Dantan Mbui. Mr. Dantan Mbui has an advantage over the other two because his ward is the most populous ward. And so if the people of his ward just shows up to vote for him in their own volition, then that alone has the capability of rendering for him the Mbeere North by election as the member of parliament for that constituency. Who has a better advantage is something that we will discuss shortly, but let's look at the middle ground power interest. From Lenny Kivuti's team and Justin B. Muturi, there is something that is known. These two have never really liked each other for quite some time. And now they have buried the hatchet and they have come together to front one candidate. For what reason? These reasons are what we want to dismember here at the Civic Lens. One, Lenny looks at the opportunity of becoming the governor of Embu in 2027. And to do this, he's testing the ground with his candidate to see whether or not people will really support him or people are appreciative of his policies or his person as a personality ahead of 2027. JB Muturi is using this particular opportunity to entrench the power position of the Democratic Party. And he knows that very well that Mr. Newton Karish has had a following for 3 successive times as a member of county assembly. He pushes or pulls towards himself some substantive crowd. So he has looked at Mr. Newton Karish as an opportunity for the Democratic Party to succeed, and Lenny has used this as an opportunity for him to test the ground ahead of 2027. However, something is happening. Lenny is now no longer being seen in the scene. He is no longer campaigning for Mr. Newton Karish as strongly as he was doing before, and this has brought in questions and worries ahead of the 27th date. Gachagua recently called upon Lenny and Justin B. Muturi to go back and make sure that they campaign for this gentleman, but the ground is saying that Lenny is still hesitant on this particular campaigns. On the other hand, Justin B. Muturi is a co-principal of the United Opposition. He's not as invested in the ground and investing his resources in the ground as much because he's hoping that individuals like Lenny can now take care of that. While this is happening, Ruku is taking advantage of it, and Ruku is putting resources behind this gentleman called Leonard Miruki to ensure that he diffuse the influence of both Lenny Kivuti and Justin Muturi in the region as kingpins. Now, the history of Mbeere North kingpin is also another one that is very interesting. Mbeere North area, or the entire Embu area, belonged to the kingpinship of the Nyaga family. And this is until very, very recently in 2002 and in the 2007, after the late Joe Nyaga now, the 2007 era, then now we are seeing power shifting from the southern part, which belongs to the Nyaga family, to the northern part, which is now being controlled by both Lenny Kivuti and Justin Muturi, but predominantly Justin Muturi. And so when this power shift from an entire county shifted from the southern part of Embu to now the northern part of Mbeere, largely now to the Mbeere North part, it was taken differently. It has been a series of backfighting, it has been a series of backbiting, and it has been a series of fronting one candidate in this particular election and changing your mind in the other election when another candidate it comes. I just want to give you like a track record of how this has been played. In 2002, Lenny Kivuti supported Justin Muturi to become a member of parliament for this particular constituency. In 2007, Ruku, who is currently the CS, supported Lenny Kivuti to beat Justin Muturi in the elections to become a member of parliament in 2007. So up to 2007, Ruku is entering the scene as an individual that wants to oust Justin Muturi but does not want to oust him directly. So he goes to the individual that supported Justin Muturi to get into the scene and supports that individual to outdo Justin Muturi, and that's what happens in 2007. Then you look at 2013. Lenny Kivuti, who was now beaten Justin Muturi in 2007, now gets supported by Jagagwa, and just 2013 now he supports Jagagwa, and in 2017 JB supports Jagagwa to beat Ruku. So in 2017 you see Justin Muturi, who was hosted through Ruku in 2007, comes and supports Jagagwa to now beat Ruku in that particular election. Then in 2022 JB supports Ruku to beat Jagagwa. The beef between Ruku and JB gets buried, and now Justin Muturi supports Ruku to beat Jagagwa, which Ruku becomes the member of parliament until now that Ruku is outside. And right now Justin Muturi has joined hands with Lenny to beat Ruku. It's a very backbiting kind of politics that is being played by this region, and the two gentlemen, being Justin Muturi and Lenny Kivuti, are looking at 2027 as the time for them to shine, because beyond that the scene will be flooded for them. They'll be very old to contest or still hold a grip of this region in 2032. Now Ruku is looking at this as an advantage to have them go home as early as 2027 and have a grip of this particular region as the new kingpin moving into the furtherance of the other years. So ladies and gentlemen, the interest and the investments in Mbeere North are very intense, and ahead of 2027 we might see very interesting things happening in that area. Beyond voter suppression to voter bribing, we see the clan game being pulled, we see the ward games being pulled. So the constituency is tensed, and the D-Day is the day that is going to determine between all these three individuals who becomes the member of parliament to further the interest of which camp ahead of the main election, which is 2027. On the other part, I will detail it subsequently on the following episode, but it's worthy to mention that members of county assembly are not really termed as public servants. The effect of this is that the requirement under the constitution is that if you are vying for a particular political seat and you are holding a position in the public service, then you need to resign from your position in the public service to become a member of parliament or whatever political seat that you are seeking. Now, members of county assembly do not fall under this qualification. This means that the members of county assembly can be nominated by their party if their party constitution does not contest it, and they can become a member of parliament. And it is when they become the member of parliament that a vacancy will be declared in their ward. And if they fail to become a member of parliament, then they can just go back to their ward and keep serving as MCAs. So in Mbeere North right now, the Vurore ward member of county assembly, Honorable Duncan Mbui, if he did not tender any official resignation to the speaker of the county, or if the Chama cha Kazi party does not have any restriction that when they nominate you, you have to now secede your position as a county assembly, if he succeeds, there will be a vacancy in his ward. But if he fails to succeed as a member of county, as a member of parliament, then he can go back to his ward and keep serving as a member of county assembly. The same also applies to the member of county assembly of Antawa ward, Mr. Newton Karish. If they did not go through that process of resignation and they fail to become member of parliament, then they can just go back and keep serving as the MCAs until the term ends. That's actually very interesting. And so if they became a member of parliament, then that particular part of Mbeere North will be seeing yet another by-election in either of the wards for a position now not of a member of parliament but of an MCA. So that interesting dynamic, ladies and gentlemen, is the new news coming from the Mbeere North, and it's been a pleasure detailing it for you here at the Civic Lens.